Hello everyone. I know it's been a while since my last video. I believe the last video I uploaded was the video I did titled Context is Everything, All Lives Matter. That video, I believe I mentioned, I recorded parts of it over the course of a year's time, doing all the editing and uploading all that stuff. I actually have recorded a number of videos since that one, but due to a lot of things that have been going on in my life over the course of this particular year, my video blogging has pretty much taken a back seat to focus on those things. Of course, those of you that have been following my WordPress blogs are aware that I have been updating and posting things mostly of a political and nature from time to time. If a handful of you may also be aware of the fact that I started a GoFundMe campaign last month. The purpose of this video is just to explain a little bit in terms of what's been going on with me in 2016, as well as the reason for the GoFundMe campaign that I started. I'm going to start by first taking you back to a certain incident that happened with me in July of 2014. I spent some time in the hospital in regards to. I spent some time in the hospital in July of 2014 due to mental health reasons. Without getting into things really specific, that was a pretty tough time in my life, both personally and professionally. After that summer, when I returned to the school where I was working at the time, I was still dealing with stress both at work and at home, and I ended up not finishing the 2014-2015 school year. I left the school where I was working and went on a medical leave of absence after April vacation for the rest of the school year. During the summer of 2015, one of the things that I was really thinking about in terms of was what to do next. My experience working what was up to then 9 years as a paraprofessional in the Boston school system was the ultimate question that I had asked myself when I first started. Was this something that I could see myself doing as a career for the next 10, 15, 30 years? And up to that point, the answer was, I don't know. Um, my hospitalization changed my mindset in that regard a little bit. And it went from maybe to I need to be more open and honest with myself. So what ended up happening was for the 2015-2016 school year, I only lasted 4 months before I went on a leave of absence for the rest of this 2015-16 school year in Boston. The question that I asked myself when the previous school year started was, do I see myself being able to make it through this entire school year? By the end of the first week of school, the answer was an unemphatic no. So then the next question that came at the end of September 2015 was, when was I going to end my time at this school at that school where I was? And I made the decision that that time would be at the end of December. What ended up happening at that point was I went on what's called a paid medical leave of absence from January to the first week of March. It was during that time that I was dealing with a lot of things, both personally and medically, that I won't really get into, both here and on my blogs. Mostly because there's a lot of medical jargon, and I really don't want this to turn into another 30-minute video, if you know what I mean. But anyway, during the first 3 months of this year, I made the decision to not come back. I made the decision to extend my leave of absence to the rest of 2015-16 school year. So I went so I took an unpaid leave of absence for the rest of the school year. The difference between being on paid medical leave and unpaid medical leave is with paid medical leave, you need to provide documentation from a licensed physician, stating one, excuse me, stating one that you are not medically cleared to work for a for a predetermined amount of time, and the difference between that and being on unpaid leave is such documentation isn't necessarily needed. Especially since in my case I was already on a paid medical leave. So, what basically happened from a technical standpoint was I was my leave was converted from paid leave to unpaid leave for the rest of the school year. Fast forward to this past August, or I should say this past July, really. I was looking at my options, and I decided that it just wasn't in the best interests of both me and BPS for me to return in the coming fall. So I first went through through several channels to see if there were if. Or actually, I should revise what I just said. I made the decision that it definitely wasn't in the best interest, in both my best interest and in the district's best interest for me to return it to a classroom setting. So what I did was I went through several channels to possibly look into getting reassigned. And to make a long story short, that simply wasn't possible. So in September, BPS and I parted ways. Um, on the record, I quit. On the record, I quit. But semantics and all that stuff, it was decided mutually that it was just decided mutually from my standpoint and from BPS standpoint that I was not I would not be I could not I was not medically clear to return to a classroom setting in what I was doing before, which is fine, which I didn't dispute. So my time with BPS came to a close. Mind you, up to that point, I hadn't been. My last paycheck was the week of March 7th. So we're talking 6 going on 7 months now since my last paycheck, which leads to the obvious question of what have I been doing during that stretch of time. Just cutting out a lot of medical appointments and things of that nature. I have been looking at I have been looking at seeking at getting employment elsewhere. That's like I have been for the past 8.5 years now. I've been continuously looking for work in other fields since my second year working full time for BPS. Um, but um, without making excuses or anything like that, things just haven't been working out for me in that regard. I mean, I'm not saying I'm giving up or that I have given up, but as of right now, I am unemployed. I actually started collecting food stamps in July, and I'm right now in the process of applying for Social Security, among other things. But I am currently looking for work part time, and I'm going to set up a blog post to link people to that may want to take a look at my resume, my skill resume, and a couple of other things that I'm working on just to get some income started. In addition to the GoFundMe thing, and on that note, the GoFundMe campaign I started was just to head off the situation that I'm current was in an attempt to sort of head off the situation that I'm in now, where as of right now, I'm unemployed and I have no support, no financial support or help from any sources, um, for the unforeseeable future as it is right now. Um, I did apply for unemployment, but things didn't work out too well without getting into specific detail. So right now, all I've got is just pretty much me doing the best I can at this point. I mean, emotionally, I'm just being honest with myself. I'm just barely hanging on, but I'm not the kind of person that gives up easily. If something doesn't work out, I just go right back to the drawing board and try something else. So that's part of why I decided to make this video. It's in part to just put the word out that, I have a lot of videos that I would like to do, and the videos that I've actually recorded but just haven't uploaded, in part because, well, mainly because of it's the video thing is just going to need to wait for now. I mean, right, priorities and all that. I have other things that I need to focus on aside from making videos. At this point in time, this is the main reason why I prefaced my previous video, because at the time I was on at the time I didn't have any income, Yeah, if you just my hope is that anyone seeing this video, whether you're one of my regular followers or someone that just came across this video, if you could just share this video with folks that may be able to help me out, that may help me out financially, that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, you can see the link to my GoFundMe campaign in the video description, as well as links to various other things that I am doing, working on, etc., etc. I actually launched my seventh blog over the summer. It's on religion, faith, and and things of that nature, and I'd like to say it's pretty accessible. So even if you don't claim any sort of religious background, or you're a self-professed atheist or whatever, or you're belong to a non-Christian denomination, I'm gonna just say for now that there's a little bit of something for everyone there. So yeah, it's worth checking out. Um, for those of you that have been wondering about what this would mean for my video game blog, my anime blog, and my WWE blog, those things are pretty much on hold. Um, I mean, obviously priorities and all that. One thing that I think I did touch on in one of my past videos, when in terms of the subject of how it is, how can the world have so many video games, anime, etc., etc. Um, the reason I got all those things was specifically for times like this, where I knew that I knew this was going to happen. I wouldn't go so far as to say as I foresaw this situation that I'm currently in right now, but all the stuff that I've bought over the last, let's say, 8, 12 years now, it was it was specifically for moments like this, where there would be large stretches of time where I knew I wouldn't have where I wouldn't have any sort of income from any sources coming in. So yeah, I'm gonna speak more to that I'm gonna speak more to the benefits of having physical media versus streaming in a separate video, but it goes without saying, I try to plan for I hope for the best and plan for the worst, in short. So as of right now, I don't know when the next video will be, but what my first need right now for those that want to hear it is financial support. So feel free to check out my GoFundMe campaign. It's basically the same of much of what I've just said already in this video. Just about dying of my situation. Um, I mean, obviously, I will be extremely grateful to anyone that can provide me financial support. For those that are wondering how much, I'm looking to raise $12,500, which I believe will get me through March of next year at the very least. So we'll see where it goes. I know that's a lot of money, which is why I switched from requesting payments through PayPal to requesting donations to my GoFundMe campaign. So that way, folks will, I'd say, feel more comfortable about doing it, about donating if they're able to, and also knowing what the money is going to be used for. That's basically all I've got to say about that, more or less. I got a couple of WordPress blogs that I have lined up in regards to the upcoming NBA season, David Ortiz retirement, career ending the way it did, and the resurgence of the New England Patriots, among other stuff. So that's something to look forward to when the time comes. I'm going to continue to make blogs, and I'm going to continue to make videos, of course, in the background. So there's a lot to look forward from the Eurobelt. You guys take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in another video.